back to UE5 BP Guru. Today we're going to be talking about inventory in preparation for doing item pickups. I'm not going to go into too much depth with this one. I've always kind of been of the mindset that I'm not going to teach you how to do like inventories and things like that. Too much, like especially like widgets and working on all that side of things, because you know every game has to be slightly different. I'm here to show you the main code, but I can't show you everything without showing you a little bit of this. So I'm just going to give you a bit of a brief insight to this side of things. Um, so, firstly, I want to talk about is if I go into my third-person character. I did touch upon this in the capture episodes, but we have an inventory, um, and I do have an item database too, and this is used for the item pickup. So I will cover this in the next episode. But for now, oh, I've gone a bit too far. I'm just going to show you how I kind of went about setting up my inventory. Again, I did touch upon this with the capture side of things, but I created a base item strut, and I used all the kind of essential information within that. So item name, item image, item description, quantity, buy price, sell price, and then I've got a few Boolean checks here to kind of suggest what inventory I'm talking about. So things like battle items, cartridges, evolution items, sell items, TMs, which mine are actually called LMs to keep it different, and key items. The one I'm missing from there is held items, but I'm going to deal with that down the line. And then we've got other things like essence items, which is kind of like your Evo stones. I have got a held item switch or an enum, sorry, and that's just because I want to have held item evolution items. But there's nothing here to build a held item inventory. That's kind of what I was getting at. And then we have level increase. That's for things like rare candies and stuff like that. And then we've got battle items, capture items, food items, and TMs. And those are their own separate struts with their own separate information for what you want to set for those things. If I go to the default values, you can kind of see what our inventory looks like at the end. In the battle item struts, so these are 4 separate struts. The capture ones you should be well and truly acquainted with, because we did that in a previous episode. And then we have all of our other stuff. So the next thing I want to do, so I will quickly show you, just so you have an idea of how this runs in game, alongside with the item pickups, I suppose. Once it loads, here we go. So if I pick up a creature, let's get her badger. Here he goes. He runs after us. Look at that cute boy. Let's pick them all up like so. And if we go over here, we can open up our bag, and we have a breakdown of the different items. Now you'll notice that some are appearing on the left and some are appearing on the right. Now the right is my battle slot, so whenever I pick up an item, my code automatically checks to see if I have an item available in my battle slot or my capture slot, and I can now move them around. So that's kind of how I came up with this. Obviously, if I can use them, so for example, if I use bash, you can now see as well. Already learned that move, so I can't learn it again. Cancel that. If I go to my battle slot, if I use burn heal, click on use, it checks to see if I can use it. If I can't, it has no effect. But for example, if I click on this and I click on use and I hover, now this one doesn't work for some reason. I need to actually look into this one, but it should come up saying can evolve, because it can evolve with nature essence. So that's how my bag is working. If we close this down and go to our inventory widget, I'll show you kind of the brief setup. Again, I'm not going into too much detail because it would be an incredibly long episode to show you everything. And again, as I said, your games need to be different to mine. This is how my game's going to be on release, so I don't want to give away too much, again, keeping them trade secrets. But basically the way I'm doing this is with a couple of inventory scroll boxes that are wrapped with size boxes, and my party slots build on top of my scroll box, but it gets hidden and appear depending on what you're doing. And then down here you have the item information, where it gives the description of the item. And yeah, I'll just give you a quick look at the code. It's a bit messy, it's a bit long. I'm sure there's some easier ways of doing this, but you've got your battle buttons. So these are all the different buttons that are on the left hand side, and that just changes whether they're active or not, because we use that information when we're dealing with some of the item uses. And then you've got things like the build the battle inventory, which is here, and it just basically gets the inventory, and it checks to see if it's a part of that button's inventory. So is it a battle item, is it a capture item, etc., going down, and it'll just grab those items, and then it creates this inventory slot, which is this, and it just gives it a name. It basically just updates the name, and the most important thing is it stores that slot within this slot, so we know what item is associated to that location in the inventory. So if it's like the 6th item, it gets the 6th slot ID, so that we know when we look through our inventory to get that item information down the line, it stays the same. We get the same information, the same details through. So that's why we do that. And we also do that for the party as well. We have to save a party slot. I think you'll see it down here. Yeah, we get that party ID and we store that on that party slot too. And it just stores the information and creates it. So the main thing to remember is we get that inventory scroll box and we add it as a child, this slot widget. So that's the same thing for all the inventories all the way down. So again, if I click on, for example, I don't know, sell items, it will build a sell inventory for me. So it builds all an inventory out of all the items that we can sell. There's a little bit more detail to go into this, but the basics of it is working, so I'm pretty happy with it. I still want to add the extras I'm thinking of adding. So if I click on a sell item, it gives you what you can sell that item for, as an example. If I click on a battle item, it gives me the health increase I would get from it, or it would give me the status it would heal you from, or if I get the TM, it gives you the move name. There's a few other little extra details I want to add on, basically, but nothing that would be too hard to add onto this code. Luckily, it's decided to save at the worst time. So that's what I do for all the inventory building, and then we do a similar thing for the building the battle slot and the capture slot section, which is on the right hand side. Which is we get that right hand side slot box, scroll box to save them. We clear the children, and then basically we're just getting the battle item slots. Doing the same thing, we have a slot ID for that as well, in which we set the name and the quantity, and then we add that as a child to the slot scroll box using the battle slot widget, which is exactly the same thing here. It's just that it's getting the inventory from another place. Because if you remember on our third person character, when we look at our trainer information, if I can find it, where is it? There it is. We have a battle item slot, we have an inventory, and we have a capture item slot. So we have those 3 separate slots, or 3 separate inventories, but 2 of them are just battle slots. So if we go back into our inventory, that's literally what that's doing. It's just getting this. It's exactly the same thing. It's just getting it from a different location, and that one's getting the capture item slots. We also create the party information. So when we want to use an item, we have this. You saw it when I was showcasing it, but we have the UG party slots at the top right, and it builds them downwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's how it would lay out. And to show you what they looked like, if this is the right one, that's what it looks like. It's very simple. It's again, it needs doing up, but it works just for the sort of testing phase. It will need to be updated, obviously, at some point. And we just build that by turning our Ringmon party into an array. We run through it, and we check to see if it's set. So if we have slots 1, 3, and 6 set, it will only show those 3. It will only build 1, 2, 3 for those. and then it gets that basic information, and we also set that party ID from the for each loop. That is true. And we create that inventory party slot. We set all the information, so like the image, the name, the health, all the same sort of way we do, but we add that child to the uniform grid instead. And you get an in row and an in column on the uniform grid, and that's what this is. So these are two new variables, party row and party column, and we're just adding those to that 0, 0 basically. Then we set up the information for that, and then at the very end, this is the most important part, we get that party row, we increment it by 1, and when it equals 3, we come back true, and then we set that party row to 0. If that comes back true, we set the party row to 0, and then we increase our party column and do the whole process again. But because we only ever have 6 in our thing, it should only ever build 6. And that's that. We've got our use buttons and our cancel buttons. Those are just basic hidden and visible variables. And if we cancel, if we click, I'm just trying to, it works, so I know it works. I'm just, have a look at it. Basically, we are checking to see if Evo items or Alarm items are active. If it's true, we set the use item to visible, and we clear the UMG party slots. If it's false, we build the battle slots, basically. And that's if you're clicking the cancel button. If you're clicking the use button, we check to see if Evo items or Alarm items are active again. If it's true, we build the party slots. If it's false, we check to see if battle items are active, and if that's true, we clear all the children there and we build the party slots again. So it's just checking to see if that's. It's more like a fail-safe, really, more than anything. You typically would just always build the battle party slots if we're using an item, because that visibility is always determined on whether we can actually use an item anyway. And that's pretty much all we're doing in here. What's this? Oh, and that's the move button. That's just moving items from left to right, basically, into those battle slots or into those inventory. And again, it's just setting those arrays, basically, for each one. Very simple stuff. But yeah, I'm not going to go into too much detail because most of it is around using items anyway. Which I will go off. I'm not going to do too many more of these episodes. I've basically got maximum another 2 that I want to do at the minute, which is picking up items off the ground to add to our inventory, which is something I'll definitely show you guys. And using items in battle might take an episode or 2, so maybe 3. And then I'm probably going to stop doing this series for a little while because I just want to work on the code for my own game and start producing stuff and get it out. But I think the only things I will ever return to do is maybe the shop and maybe probably cover breeding and hatching eggs. But other than that, I don't necessarily think there's going to be too much else I'm going to cover for this series. But if there is anything anyone wants me to cover, just let me know. I'm more than happy to sort of go over it briefly. Hopefully it will help you understand what you need to do in your own games. And yeah, and hopefully you've enjoyed this series. As I say, we've got a few episodes left, definitely, for sure. But yeah, let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover. But yeah, I've really enjoyed doing this series. I'm sad it's coming to an end. But thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I will see you in the next episode for item pickups. Much love, take care. Bye.